Happy Friday, everybody. I am Jeff Blankenburg, as usual, and I'm here to build some cool stuff. So I have a couple of things that I'm working on, and there's never any shortage of experimentation and fun here, but I want to make sure that I'm kind of staying on task. I feel like I've been jumping around a lot working on chatbots and this Alexa thing and a number of other projects. But I really want to get through this dev tips thing. I think that there's a lot there. I think there's a lot of cool things we can play with. And so today we're going to be focusing on building the Alexa skill dev tips. And so I'm going to primarily spend my time today building out the beginnings of that skill. We've already got a good start on it. But then I'm also going to add some of the customization things that I really like being able to track a user and be able to understand what they've interacted with, what they've played with, what they've touched as far as content goes. But then there's a bunch of, hopefully, other customization that we can do, like letting them choose which voice they want. I did shave. That happens once in a while. Letting them be able to change the voice that they use inside the skill. And so they can specify a name that they'd like. And from then on, all the responses that come from the skill will be in that voice. Also things like speed and volume and things like that they would be able to change also. So I think that's the direction that I'm going to handle today, and we'll kind of just head in that direction. We'll build some stuff, and we'll make some of those customizations as we go. So good morning, rblank28. Good morning, Gold Zulu. Good morning, BCXML. But before we get into the coding, this chatbot technology is some of the most fun that I've had coding lately. Startup, good morning. Good to see you. And I want to be able to share with you some of the new cool stuff that I've added to this chatbot. So I mentioned on Wednesday that I've been watching a streamer called BeginBot, and this guy builds all sorts of really interesting chatbot functionality. It's all in Python, but he's doing a lot of very, very cool things, and I borrowed some of his ideas, not nearly as complex as his are, just to get some of this functionality available. And so the first thing that I want to do is drop into the chat. This is a link to my chatbot code. So this is bot.js. You guys have seen me edit this file before. And I'm going to jump over to my everything view, which is, I think, this one. Yeah, and you can see here that I have a whole bunch of new commands that are available inside the skill. You can see all these like exclamation point thank you, exclamation point wasting time. And what's really cool about these is that they play sound effects on the stream. So what you can do with that, if I can get my mouse working here, is give yourself an opportunity to like chime in with sound effects as we're doing things. So one example of this might be if I come to this chat box and I say 2319, it will potentially be noisy, and if I have to shut it off, I will shut it off. But my thought is that as it makes sense, people might chime in with sound effects. Like this is one from the movie Monsters, Inc.
2319! We have a 2319!
Right, they say 2319, and so I made a command that is exclamation point 2319. But eventually, the way this is going to work is you're either going to have to spend bits in order to play a sound effect, even maybe it's just 1 bit, which is a penny. There will be some that probably get applied to blanken points. So I'm working on a lot of this right now. Right now I wanted to get the core functionality of being able to play audio files. And eventually we will have to limit this so that you have to in some way earn something or spend some money or something. Those sound files are actually stored locally on my machine. So the node instance is actually running here locally on my Mac. So I think I can show that. Let me make sure I don't have anything that shouldn't be shown, like my inbox. Come on. Yeah, so I have this bot running right here, so you can see like he just said where those sound files are stored. All of those files are stored here locally on my machine, and the node instance is running here, so all I have to do is run a command that grabs the file that's specified in the code, and then play the audio for that, and it plays through my machine, which is then streamed directly out to all of you. So that is how that works. I still have an empty bottle of water. I did not do a good job of rehydrating. Let's see if I can text some of my lovely family to bring me a bottle of water. See if that actually happens. Can you bring me a bottle of water, please? All right, let's see if that actually happens. They are a little camera shy, and so they may not want to come into the office while I'm doing this. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. If the file isn't there, then it'll just throw an error, but it doesn't break anything. So it's not there. But the goal, the ultimate goal of all of this is to do something more similar to what my friend over at BeginBot is doing, which is he has built an entire economy and ecosystem around how people interact with all of these sound effects. You have to earn a certain number of points, but he has built his own economy of points. And then you can also create new sound effects. So he has a command where you actually say exclamation point sound, and then you give it the command that you want, and then you also give it a YouTube ID, so like the identifier for the YouTube video, and then also the start and stop for a timestamp that has to be less than 5 seconds between them. And somehow he has an engine that goes out, grabs that audio from the YouTube, brings it down, saves it as an audio file, and creates a new command on the fly. And so obviously my static, hard-coded written list of commands isn't going to work that way. I will have to build a mechanism where I'm actually saving files to, saving new commands to a JSON file, allowing you guys to create those things. And then, of course, I also have to build some mechanism to prevent you from playing them over and over and over again. But those do all work, and so if you feel the need to chime in from time to time with some audio, I'm totally okay with that. But if it starts to get too noisy, then we can always just stop the bot, and then everything goes back to normal. So Startup says, what if I got that one. It would be cool if you could have words spoken using YouTube audio. Yeah, so we technically can do anything. Anything that you can encode in an MP3 file, you could potentially, once we get this all built out, we could potentially build a mechanism where you submit any MP3 file or whatever, and as long as it's less than 5 seconds, because I don't want long-running audio playing as sound effects. But yeah, you could potentially record your own voice if you wanted to have your own library of sound effects and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're headed. But as you saw in the code somewhere, I thought I had that available. Did I lose it? No, this here. You can see that there are lots of them. So if I come back here and I say, like, exclamation point horse, you get a nice horse's whinny. I'm assuming that worked because I'm not listening to them right now. But that's kind of the idea, is to be able to provide that additional kind of functionality. We're going to continue to grow and think about what this chatbot is like, and we'll continue to make it fun for you guys to participate and play here. In a way, you have to boot that system and stream the Twitch from that system only. Yeah. So yeah, the way this is set up is this NodeBot only runs here locally on my machine. I specifically excluded, and you can see that here. I specifically excluded. You can see that all these files are held in an SFX folder, sound effects. But if you come and look at the directory, you'll note that there is no sound effects folder here. That's for good reason. It's because I'm not in the business of distributing a whole bunch of sound effects. I don't want this to be a place where people are coming and grabbing all the audio files. So they live here locally on my machine. But yeah, this code will currently only run on my machine only because I am the only one with the sound effects. But if you modify the list of sound effects, and I'm going to continue to grow this so that it can kind of dynamically change as you guys add more commands. But there's lots and lots of things that I need to be able to figure out in order to make that all work, because I really am more of a JavaScript developer. A lot of the JavaScript that I know came from years and years of web development, but I'm only really getting good at the Node side of JavaScript, and so being able to write mechanisms that can read and write files and do a lot of the things that happen locally, that was never something I was very in the business of. I was very much in the business of taking files, serving them up into a browser, and building stuff that way. And it was never really about writing things locally other than to maybe a database or something. So I definitely have some learning to do, and we'll do a lot of that learning here on air because I like building while I'm learning, and you guys teach me quite a bit as well. So that is that's the sound effects thing, and you guys can see the list there. Somehow I'll have to post a list somewhere of what the commands are, or maybe I'll build a command that sends you a list of the commands. That seems like a thing we could do too. So lots and lots of opportunity, but not what I'm going to work on today. That's just something I've been toying with, trying to get it to a point where it actually works a little bit. The thing that I want to work on is this this skill that we've been talking about, this dev tip skill. So I'm going to move this. I have this nice standing mat. It's one of those fatigue mats that make sure your calves and your back and your ankles not hurt so much when you stand. I find that I'm standing a ton at work anymore, and it wears you out. I'm just tired by the end of the day when I stand here for 6, 7, 8 hours. Okay, so we're getting into getting back to the skill, and you can see here that I have my code, and we'll talk through a little bit of what we did on Wednesday. The first is that we have this simple launch request handler, and we haven't done anything with it. It still says, well, you can say hello or help. And then we added this SpeechCon handler, and this is where we spent a lot of our time on Wednesday. And this is just where the user says something like, say this. And if I recognize and can resolve that value out of my slot, then I will say that. Otherwise, I need to respond and say, oh, I don't, that isn't a SpeechCon, or I don't know that one. And instead, I'll just pick a random one for them so that at least they get something. So that's something that we're going to do here this morning. We'll finish those things up. And then I really want to work on the customization, the poly voices, the speed, the prosody, volume, all those kinds of things. Startup wants to know, how do we know what the sounds there are? If you look at the code in that bot.js file that I had up there, if we look at bot.js, all of the commands, you can find them just by looking at here near the bottom. These are all different commands. If the question is how do I know what the sound says, just try it. Good morning, Karthik. Karthik, you'll enjoy this. I've added a bunch of sound effects to the stream, to the chatbot that I'm working on. And so if you say any of these commands, you can see them here, like legend or no moon or whatever. It will play a sound effect on the stream. So just something to give a try if you want, Karthik. But I'm working on building out a sound library for the channel. And this is something that only works here on my channel. I won't be adding this stuff to the Alexa bot. I'm trying to keep those pretty separate. But yeah, this is kind of a fun thing to do here on my channel. So that's something I wanted to make sure Karthik knew about. He likes to play with that kind of stuff. But let's get into finishing up this little piece. So one of the things that we needed to figure out, I can get rid of this, say the SpeechCon that they resolved. That is done. What do you do after the SpeechCon? What's the question? That's a great point. And we'll need to grab that out of my database.
Somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way.
And then too much buffering on your end. There's nothing I can do to control that startup. I know that you've mentioned having some video issues in the past, but I'm not having any issues broadcasting from here. So it's got to be something about the connection between you and Twitch, unfortunately. I wish I could help with that, but there's nothing I can do, unfortunately. Tell them there isn't a SpeechCon for the value they indicated. Okay, so we're going to do speak output. And we're going to say, let's see, I heard you say, and this is where we use our spoken words. Spoken words. But that isn't a SpeechCon for your locale. Yeah, 57 meg speed seems pretty good. It could just be that Twitch is having an issue, but I don't know how they do things for global distribution, or if you guys are trying to connect to a server in the United States. I don't know what their distribution model looks like, but it's got to be a connection between you and Twitch, because everything seems fine here on my side. And I'd be interested, for those of you that are in the United States, if you have any indication. Are you seeing any issues? Are you seeing any buffering or skipping? Always good to know. Here's a random one instead. And then I will need to tack on, so I'll probably need to get a random one first. This is where I'm going to do var speechcon equals get random. Have I not built any of that yet? That's okay. Get random speech. And then in there we'll have handler input. Do I even need handler input? How do I normally do this? Open. Kevin, good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome. And never apologize for showing up late. I'm happy you're here at all, man. So thank you for coming. W. Giorgio, good morning. Let's see. What's a good example that I could look at? Scavenger Hunt has this. Index. So I have this get random speech function, and I'll pass in the locale. That's the thing that I need. Okay. So we'll do this where we're going to call get random speech. That means that I need to make, oh, that's another change I should make to my template, is to make all of my handlers asynchronous, because that is something that gets me all the time. For those of you that have watched, I can't tell you the number of times that I've had my code break because I forgot to put async on my handler. Async. I don't even think I'll do anything there, but that's all right. And then async. You never know when you'll need it, so, and it doesn't hurt to have it, so there we go. Okay, so now we have our async, and now we have our await to call get random speech, which I don't have open. And so let's go see what get random speech looks like. Come on. Go to definition, and it looks like this. So we'll just copy this piece, and then we'll probably have to make some changes. I might even have a custom get random speechcon call, because I think the data that I have for speechcons looks different than the data that I have for most other speech, and that's generally what I use this for. So we will also need to get locale here somewhere. So var locale equals, I don't know what that is yet, but we'll get it in a moment. And now I need to add this function down here somewhere. This looks like a good spot. Is this something that I could do independent? See, this is where I start to get hung up on, like that. I started building that helper library, and I don't know that I want to do this one there because it uses the HTTP stuff that I use down here for everything else, wherever it is. HTTP get. So I don't really, like, if I bump that into the helper library, then oftentimes I need to bring all those dependencies over there too, and that gets messy and gross. I think we'll just leave it like this, and I think that I also want to get a random speechcon, and let's see what my data table is called. So I have, is it in here? I'm in the wrong data. Let's go look down here at the dev tips data. And this is where I have a speechcon. Yeah, see, it's completely different. So I need to make sure that I'm doing this properly. So I'm calling the speechcon table. So the base is going to be data, which I don't think I've set up these variables either, because this is the first database call I'm making. I want is disabled to be false. That's good. And then I don't even care about this. We'll rip this, but I do care about locale. Oh yeah, so I'm using this for locale, so that's good. And then the table that I want is going to be SpeechCon. Like, maybe, like so. Okay, so this should give me everything that I need. Lord of Sound, thank you for the green light. I'm kind of building a new skill. This is a new old skill, Karthik. I am building a new version of the Alexa Dev Tips skill. And I'm building it in a way that is internationalized and has all sorts of other features and functionality. So this is just getting the beginnings of it set up. And so one of the first functions that I'm building is get SpeechCon. So you can literally ask Alexa to play any SpeechCon for you. You just say the name of the SpeechCon and she'll say it so you can hear what it sounds like. So that's the piece that I'm building right now. But ultimately, this thing will be able to answer questions about any of these topics and more. So like, who is a Karthik? I believe you're in here. Who is Karthik? And so I haven't written a description for you yet, but this will be where it responds and says, oh, Karthik is this person. He's in India. Here's a good way to get a hold of him. So it's basically able to answer questions the same way that the chatbot is able to do it. So if we look at the chatbot, I can say things like Alexa Blankenburg as an example. And that doesn't work, I think, because of some parsing I'm doing. So what if I just say Alexa Blankenburg? Or maybe it's not running. And it's because it's not running. Yeah, so now I should be able to say it. Alexa, who is Blankenburg? There, and so you can see that it, I forgot to start the bot, yeah. So you can see here that it knows who I am, and then it provides a link to go find more information about me. P. Murphy 76, thank you, man. Thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome to the show. We are rolling here on building an Alexa skill that can answer questions about how to build Alexa skills. Very meta. All right. So let's get back into the code. So I have this get random SpeechCon. I'm calling my data table, which I have not yet set up. So we'll need to do that. Let's do that now before I forget, because I will. api.airtable.com. And we'll come down here to the data table. And we'll look at the SpeechCon table. And I want to retrieve a record or whatever. All I really need to know is what is the... Give me the JavaScript version. I need this base ID. So that's the first thing that we'll need to do, is go to Lambda. Actually, I want to change one more thing too. This is something that I noticed the last time that I deployed this skill, and I think I can just change this and it's okay. What if we call this Alexa Dev Tips? I'm wondering if I can still just do that and it'll deploy, but I need to check and make sure that I don't already have one called that, because it'll overwrite it, and I think that's what the production skill is using, so I just need to check the name and I'll come up with that. I can just put the word skill or something on the end, just so that they're different, but I hate the default naming they use for Lambda functions. It makes them so hard to find. Okay, let's go to Lambda. Okay, this is the one that I'm using right now, but if I choose Alexa Dev Tips, I already have one called Alexa Dev Tips. And I have a Dev Tips bot, which is not actually being used. And then I have this one. So we're going to call it Alexa Dev Tips Skill. And I think this will work. I think just by changing that name, it'll just deploy a new one. So we'll give that a run. So that's my skill JSON. I have my index here. We're going to need to add this Airtable-based data property in a second, so let's just do an ask deploy and see if it doesn't freak out at me. Ooh, failed. What did I fail? The trigger setting. Okay. Oh, that's a good call right there, Gold Zulu. Let me add that as a synonym for him. No, it's not dead. It just doesn't know who that is, so it doesn't respond. But I just added it as a synonym, so the next time I update the model, we'll fix it there. Okay, so let's just fix this. There you go. So Karthik, I don't have that data filled in. Do you want to tell me what it should be, and we can fix that right now? So if I come here to chat response, you can see I filled some of the people's stuff in. Karthik is, tell me what you want to put here. Like if you just want to give me a short sentence that just talks a little bit about you. See if he has any ideas on what we can put in this box. We'll also need like a link to specifically send people to so that they can follow up and see who you are and find all your info if they want to. So, okay, you're not responding, so I'm going to come back to this. That's fine. I guess I'll live with that function name, even though I hate it. And so we'll choose this. Yeah, I'm totally putting you on the spot. You're going to have to do it. And down here I have environment variables, so we're going to edit these. We're going to add an environment variable, and it's going to be Airtable base data, and the value of this is the thing we got from the Airtable API, this. But I'm also going to need to add another one, which is Airtable API key, I believe. Isn't that what I normally do? I guess I don't really need that yet, but I will need it eventually. So I don't really need it now, though. All I need is that Airtable-based data, which I think I have. Man, we're getting a lot of spammy folks. That's pretty cool. Here, let's try this. I've been meaning to do this. So, I1 hater 2003. We're just gonna ban that person, and we're gonna take ZFOM. We're gonna ban that person. We're gonna take Penguin Sock, and we're gonna ban that person. I don't need all your spam in my channel, so thanks for being here. All we need is Airtable-based data, and I have that now. Yeah, I don't know why I was getting hit with all those messages. But, okay, so the thing that we want to do is make sure that our Lambda function, we won't even do this one for now. Let's just save this. I have to remove it. Okay, save it. Now I have my ID for my database. And then I'm going to get a random item out of the collection that I receive because I'm passing in locale. So I need to call getRandomSpeechCon, wherever that was. SpeechCon. And I think all I need to pass in is locale. I don't even think I need the other thing. Yeah, I mean, I could write a ban bot. I think that there are commands for that that I can use, but I haven't given it a try yet. And then we'll take this line here. Maybe we should create a function for that. A helper function that is function wrap SpeechCon, so that I don't have to do that all the time. That seems like a good helper function. And so over here I'm going to take this thing that I have here and copy it. And this will be SpeechCon. And then instead of that, we'll say this. And that will now wrap it for me, so I don't have to worry about all of that nonsense. And then we need to pass this through, wrap SpeechCon. Cool. And then over here, thanks. I like the bot stuff. It's kind of fun to play with. And Gold Zulu, your voice tech bot is kind of fun too. It's nice to see people messing with channels. So now I can just do this. Get rid of all this, and I can just call wrap SpeechCon, where I pass that in. Nish17, I apologize that I don't remember you based entirely on your username. I'm usually pretty good with faces, but obviously I can't see your face right now. But thank you for being here. Thank you for remembering me. I'm glad you're here. So SpeechCon here, and then we're going to say, here's a random one instead. And then I'll do wrap SpeechCon over SpeechCon. So that gets us those individual pieces. So this is going to get me a random SpeechCon. I don't think that I have all the functions I need yet. Yeah, no, Gold Zulu, I totally agree. I think that there's an opportunity to show like animated GIFs and memes and stuff as commands as well, or maybe in combination. I'm also thinking that there should be a sound effect every time the lamp changes, right? I could do things like that. So lots and lots to do, and I think maybe I'd be interested in your opinions on this. Should I keep working on Alexa stuff next week? I mean, obviously I'm going to do a lot of Alexa stuff most of the time anyway, but I'm curious to know if you guys would be interested in me just working entirely on the chatbot next week, or do you guys like watching that kind of development versus the Alexa stuff? I'm never sure why, like, what the thing is that you want while you're here. And if it's Alexa stuff, then I'll keep doing Alexa stuff. But the chatbot seems to be a lot of fun and obviously offers a lot of interaction with all of you. So I haven't decided what I'm going to work on next week. W. Giorgio says all the things. All right. But I feel like it might be fun to work on the chatbot. We could do the Alexa stuff. I did that with the lamp initially. It just takes so much longer to update, right? Like I can change the bot and it works right now. But for the reason that I do that though is I want to be able to change it right now and have you guys change and interact and play with the stuff as it's happening. With an Alexa skill, like I can publish this stuff, but you guys can't use it except maybe once a day. And so that's a bigger trick. I think we could embed some of those things like Easter eggs into the skill. I love the chatbot stuff, but I do NLP for a living, so I'm not a good guide. That's fair. But I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff I could be doing with the chatbot, especially if I can create it so that you guys can push new commands into the chatbot, right? So that like you can create your own and add sound effects and do all that stuff. There's a lot of learning that I need to do to make all of that happen. But I think we can get to that point eventually. And then, it would be pretty easy to take that same functionality and allow, like, talk to the Alexa device and have the command come through versus just typing in the chatbot. Those are all things we can configure and rig together. But for now, I'm going to continue working on Alexa today, but I think next week might be dedicated to just chatbot fun. Okay. So we have get random SpeechCon. This is definitely going to break because things break. We give them a random one instead. And then the other thing that we haven't really done very well is getting a random, like, welcome message. We haven't done any of that stuff yet. So let me look at my database here really quickly. And we have a table called speech. And I'm going to need to duplicate this table. This is the structure that I use for everything. And this one we'll call action query. And I'll do NUS. What would you like to do next? Would you like to do next? Okay, so I have that basic. Is Boing broken? I actually can't hear what you guys are doing, but it should work. Nope, it's there. It's just quiet. Not very long. Okay. So I have my SpeechCon. I have my responsive. You don't have a SpeechCon, but the thing that I want to do is... Oh, take care, Karthik. I will see you later, man. Have a good weekend if I don't talk to you again soon. So we want to have this table here, this action query. We have one that says, what would you like to do next? This needs to be, what do we do in welcome here? Goodness, record ID. I hadn't actually started building this yet, I guess. Formula equals record ID. Save. Cool. I have my disabled. Action query needs to be the same. Record ID. Formula. Save. Okay, so I have just the one record, and that's fine. That's all I need for now. But I want to be able to call out to that. So there's two pieces to this. Well, I guess there's only one piece. I need to take the getRandomSpeech function that I had originally and use that. So we'll drop that in here. So I have getRandomSpeech, and now I have getRandomSpeechCon, because those are different in what they do. Oh, there's Goldzulu. There's so much missing. There's a lot of pieces with Lex, for example, that are just manual clicks inside the interface that I haven't fixed. So no, to get to the point where it's working like mine is working, I need to write a document or something that it really explains it better, because I haven't done a good job of that yet. So this isn't going to work because I want to call this speech. Actually, I don't need this table. Well, we got to finish this function. This is going to be SpeechCon. This is going to be SpeechCon, so we can see the whole list. Random SpeechCon. And then this is actually going to... I'm only returning... Yeah, this is getRandomItem. And do I have the getRandomItems in here? Did I move those to my helper? GetRandomItems. I did, so we need to call that too. So this is going to be helper dot getRandomItem. Then I have my random item, and then I need to do SpeechCons here. My goodness, this would have broken 100 different ways. SpeechCons is there. This needs to be. I thought I just. Oh, because I'm looking in the wrong function. None of you stop me from making those dumb mistakes. Helper. .getRandomItem. And then what I want to do is take SpeechCons. If we go back to my data table. No, you guys are okay. I don't expect you to do all my debugging for me. Speech. No. Data. SpeechCon. And I want to... what do I need? I just need the name, I guess, huh? That's all I really care about. Although if they were all class, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, so this just needs to be speech.fields.name. I'm in the wrong one again. Name. Okay, so this SpeechCon thing should work now. I'm pulling them by locale, making sure I'm not getting any disabled ones. I'm randomly selecting one from that list, returning it to my thing, and then up here where we do the SpeechCon thing, we say get random SpeechCon. That becomes my value. I wrap it. Yeah, I think this is going to work. The other thing that I wanted to do, though, was to get the goodbye message. And so that's something that we're going to do here. Var action query equals await get random speech. This will take action, well, action query. And locale. Oh, and we didn't look up locale either, so we'll have to fix that. So, what is the string for locale that I use in like every single function? Except that one. And that one. There it is. SpeechCon. That isn't in there as a thing? Let's look. SpeechCon. Yeah, I think I have to be very careful about these synonyms. I've added those synonyms, but I haven't updated the model yet. ISPs is also there. In-skill purchasing. ISP. Okay, so we're adding synonyms. Thank you for those tests, W. Giorgio and Gold Zulu. But like a lot of my data isn't ready yet. I just know that the data that does work is work. Like the data that I've filled in works. So now it's just a matter of me filling all this stuff in, and then I need to update the model and do a bunch of other stuff, which I'm not going to do right now. But these are good tests. These are good reminders. Thank you, Kevin, for the water break. These are good reminders that those are things we'll have to go back and fix. Okay, so back to our code. We have our locale line, and we need to get locale up here. So this is going to be... well, I do some... it's not doing matching based on spelling or anything like that. It's doing the matching based on Alexa's or Lex's NLU, and so it shouldn't matter the casing because it's based on sounds, not on the way that it's typed. But until I update that model, it's not going to be able to find those things. Okay, so now I have a locale. I have this action query, which I'm not using yet. So I need to grab, we'll definitely put it here, action query. And then I guess we could just tack it on the end, all right, like this. Action query. But I probably want to put a space in between them, because otherwise they could be strung together. It's good to remember to put spaces on the end of all your statements, but it's easy to forget. So by doing that, I prevent that from being a problem. So I think our SpeechCon thing is working. So let's deploy it and see what we get. Generally, the casing shouldn't matter at all for synonyms. Can I do ask deploy for still? Well, what am I supposed to do if I don't have the same? I didn't provide a revision ID. That's why I'm running into the issue. All I said was ask deploy. And now... I know that I get a mismatch because I just added those environment variables, but that shouldn't affect what I'm doing here. I just wanted to push this code up. Help. I don't think that GUID is in here. There's nothing in my skill JSON Gold Zulu. W Giorgio, 6,000 points. Nice. Save those up. We're going to end up trying to use those for sound effects and stuff. Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to go dig into the docs. Ask CLI deploy. Robbie Comstock, this is a great question. I'm using the developer console primarily. This is what you're saying. And at what point do I need to move locally? You don't have to do that. You don't ever have to work from the CLI. I just tend to prefer a more robust CLI, that's all. But you can do all of your skill development in the developer console, and that's totally fine. The only reason I recommend moving out of it is if you have, like if you prefer to work in that kind of environment. But if you're okay working in the dev console, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see, deploy command. Let's go see if we can see deploy. What if I just do ask deploy -- help? What does that get me? I don't even have a way to specify like a version number or anything. Yeah, I'm using the new CLI, which I haven't run into this issue with before. I would normally just say -F or -- force, and it would let me push that right up there. But I'm definitely running into an issue here, and they're not giving me any... Well, okay, so let's see if we can find that error. Let's see what somebody found in, just copy and paste that ID in your askstates.json. Let's take a look at that. Do I have an askstates.json? Ask resources. Assets. Where do you see the revision ID? It's in the .ask folder. Ask states. Revision ID. Just get rid of this. Okay. I'm with you guys. Will it stay that way? Or will I have to do this every time? That was the piece I didn't know. I didn't know that was living in there. That's good to know. Let's see. Thank you guys for your help. Look at that. Boom. We've got it. Okay, so let's go to the dev console. Actually, now that Robbie Comstock was asking about that, let's go to the dev console and do some testing. One of these is the thing I want. That's a great tip. Thank you guys for finding that. That would have been a big battle for me to figure out, but now I know how to solve it. So you guys are awesome. It seems like there's an appropriate sound effect for this. If only we had a way to do that. I want to make sure I hear what this one sounds like. So what if I do this?
Thank you.
There you go. All right, so in here we're gonna say, oh, what is this invocation name? I don't even remember what we called it. That's gonna be in my model, which is down here. Dev tips, MXGTV. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the follow, and welcome to the show. We're in the middle of building an Alexa skill. And this has definitely been updated, but this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to update that again. Open dev tips.
Welcome to Alexa.
So I'm going to have to give this another name. We'll call it.
What can I tell you about Alexa development?
What's a good name for this? Chewbacca Cup. Now the reason I'm calling it that is because I look around my office to come up with dumb things, and I actually have a Chewbacca cup. So that's where that came from. So we'll just deploy that again. This time we're uploading the skill package, and it's got to build. It's got to build enough to get that new model created. Gold Zulu asks, how many followers? You must be at the 1,000. No, I'm not even close. I am at, I don't know if it shows me in the mod view. It does not show me there, but any of us can look this up if we want to see it. Let's go to here, twitch.jeff.blankenburg, and at the top here we can just click on followers, and you can check this number anytime you'd like. And the number is 3 something. If this page actually loads. $331. So we're making our way. We're going to get to 500. There's no doubt about that. It's just going to take us a little time. And man, am I ready to dress like an X-Wing pilot. I think that'll be pretty fun. But I think that's another command we could add. Let me go into the code for the bot. Do I still have that open? I don't. Open recent, Jeff Blankenbot. We'll just add that as another command that doesn't do anything yet. And then we could just say followers. And then I'll have to figure out how I know that. But I'll build some logic in there to add a to-do. Figure out how to get my follower count from Twitch. Okay. So I've got that in there as a note. What were we doing? We were doing something. We were testing, that's right. And we had deployed our new thing, and we called it Chewbacca Cup. So now we're going to come in here, and we're going to say, open Chewbacca Cup.
The random topic I picked for you is developer office hours. We hold office hours every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, because I was in the skill.
Our team of evangelists and...
Like, that seems very odd. Open Chewbacca Cup.
Welcome.
Oh, there we go. So we've now hit my skill.
Which
and
would you try?
Voice tech bot, nice work. But that's a hard-coded value, right, Gold Zulu? Like, you didn't just hook that up and have a live look at our follower count, right? That would be amazingly fast. And it makes me feel like I shouldn't be the one broadcasting. Maybe you should be. And we should just tune in and watch whatever you're doing. Okay, so now we should be able to say, like, say wahoo.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked. Please try again.
What? We hit the SpeechCon intent. I said wahoo. Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked. That's gotta be an error, right? That's... In here, if we go to log groups, we have to skip like 2 entire sections to get to this one. Was it an error? An error handled. 404. Oh, yeah. Okay. Because my API key is undefined. With a thing that I told myself. Gold Zulu also streams. Awesome, man. That's super cool. Well, let's jump over to this view for a second then while I get my API key. Because we don't need to show the world that. And go into my Lambda function and add it as an environment variable so that we don't ever need to look at it again. And save. Okay, so I want to make sure we get rid of all the places that we might be showing that. So let me make sure it's not there and make sure that I'm not showing it in my logs. Save. And then we can come back and look at my screen again. Oh, this is cool, Goldzilla. Let me check out what you got here. Wow. And can I do this for anybody? Like, can I do Gold Zulu? That's awesome. Wow. Okay, so I'm reliant on somebody else's weird API, but that's cool. I will take that. So did you, what is this crunch prank? Is this something that somebody built that you just found? Oh, it's Streamlabs. Nice. Okay. Awesome. Well, I'll throw that into my code here. And then we have a very easy way to get that value. Okay, so close that down. Get back to what we're focusing on, which is testing our skill. And it said it was having trouble doing that because we were getting an error. That's also something that's annoying me, is that what my error handler says? No, I can't. I just can't. Jeff, you broke something. It's got to be clearer. I need to know that it's actually my error and not like some odd Alexa error. Okay, so the thing that we were missing was the API key. I have since added that to the Lambda function. This might just work. Let's try say Wahoo again.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked.
So let's go ahead and deploy again. And it's going to freak out on me, maybe, because I made another change. Does that happen every time with these states? Does that value in there again? It is. So we're going to break. Okay, so I'll take my revision ID out. Try again. Awesome, Trade Last. You guys are going to make it so that this chatbot week that we're going to do next week is going to be awesome. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'll just copy that in here too. So I think next week's going to be chatbot week. We'll have some fun. We'll get a lot of this stuff playing and working and whatever. Okay, the new code has been pushed. We're going to quit the skill. And we're going to say open Chewbacca cup.
Welcome. You can say hello or help.
Awesome.
Which would... Jeff, you broke something.
What's the problem now? I'm guessing before I've even looked that I didn't name the environment variable properly. No, that looks pretty legit to me. But that's also not the error that I'm looking for. I'm not seeing an error. There's my error. Okay, let's go back here just to see what could be the issue. The key is there now. Oh, the name of the table isn't there. Okay. So in here, when I make the call to get random speechcon, I need to specify that. Karthik is back. So this is get random speechcon. The issue that I'm running into is that in my HTTP get function, it doesn't seem to know the table name. So why is that? Because when I call getRandomSpeechCon, I don't pass in the table, but I specify the name of the table right there. Okay, I gotta go off screen just for a second because I got some things that poke their head up if I'm not careful. VO undefined. What is the undefined part of this code? Oh, the base. Is that really how I do this? Get random speech. This is where I say the name of the table and the locale. It definitely does, Karthik. I'm with you, man. It's very challenging to find a ton of followers. And I think that's okay. Like, I really am enjoying what I'm doing. And I'm doing it because I would be coding anyway, so let's do it in public. But more followers obviously is better. It gives me the power and the motivation sometimes to do more things. But I'm with you. So we're trying to figure out why when I call HTTP get from my get random speechcon function, what am I doing wrong? Get random speechcon. I have the base right there, Airtable base data. So it thinks that I haven't passed that information in, and that's Airtable base data. Seems like I have the right thing. AR3. I know you guys can't see this. AR3, that's fine. So in my code, process environment, Airtable base data. I don't actually know why that's not working. Let me see if somehow I've blown it away. Don't realize it. No, it's very much there. Airtable base data. Get random speechcon. Airtable base data. Is it that I'm calling the wrong function? It is totally... No, it's not. What could possibly be going on here where I have the wrong value? Make sure I can get some of these things off the screen. All right, and we're back. Okay, so the issue that I have is I'm calling... Oh, could that be it? Huh. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So if I come back here and I choose speech, I need this app ID too. So welcome, retrieve record. I need this app ID also. I don't know why I didn't think to do this. Dumb. Okay, so let's add another environment variable that is Airtable base speech. Don't know why I didn't think to do that. Okay, those changes have been made. We can come back here. This should work now. I just need to go into my states. I need to get rid of this. This is very annoying that I have to do this every time I make one of those changes, but that's okay. We will deploy. That's an interesting question, W. Giorgio. If there's a way you already set an utterance for an intent and lock it so if somebody says that utterance again, it doesn't go to that intent, where would you want it to go, W. Giorgio? And can you give a more concrete example? Like, give a very specific layout of what you mean by that. Gold Zulu, the thing that we were trying to fix was a call to my database, and it was just because I didn't have an environment variable created. So now I should be able to quit and open my skill, and it should work this time. I'm pretty confident.
Welcome.
So if I
You
say
can
now,
say
say
hello or
awesome.
help. Jeff, you broke something.
Or not. Or not. Sometimes we just don't do things right. Error handler. Get random item is not defined. Oh, that's because I didn't fix the thing. So remember how we moved those into the helper? So in here, I need to get no, not that one. I need to go into get random speech, and I need to say helper. Helper dot, because that is something that is one of my helper functions. And now maybe we're good. W. Giorgio, I'm very curious about what you're trying to accomplish here. This sounds interesting. We're gonna break again? Or are we good? We gonna be friends? Okay, good, we're friends. So let's go one more time. Quit. Open.
Welcome. You can say hello
Say
or
awesome.
Jeff, you broke something.
Wrap SpeechCon is not defined. Jeff, did you really do that? I put it in helper, didn't I? It's here somewhere. Wrap SpeechCon. I made it there. That's all right. What I didn't do, I think, is in my reference to it, I didn't call helper. This is gonna be something that I really struggle with, I think, is remembering that I'm moving code out of this file, but it's the right thing to do. I have a player name intent and a character intent, and I have it so the player already has a name, it doesn't ask again. But if the player still says a player name, it will go back to the player name intent. I think the way that you handle this is just do a detection in your player name intent and say, oh, they already have a name, and then just kick them to the place you want to be. Remember, we did this in the scavenger hunt skill that I'm building. So if I open a file here, we'll go to my GitHub folder and look at the scavenger hunt index file. There are a lot of places where I end up in the wrong intent and I want them to go somewhere else. And so I do things like this. Return name of my handler dot handle, and I pass in the handler input. This gives you a situation where you can still return the values, but you can just say like, oh, if they already have a name, then return the results of this handler instead. And it kicks them over to that other handler, and you can do the stuff that you would normally do without duplicating code. And then that one will return a thing, which will then funnel through this. You're creating this chain of returns, basically. But that's don't think about trying to get rid of the intent or the utterance. Try to think instead about what happens if I have an intent happen that I don't want to happen, or I don't want it to happen that way anymore, and just build some conditional logic into your handlers for that specific situation. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so now are we good? Now do we feel good about the things that we're doing? Yeah, you could also build a completely separate handler, but I tend to prefer, like, if they set a name, that's that specific intent. I don't like having multiple handlers for the same intent based on conditions. I'd rather build the conditions into the logic, but I think that's up to you how you want to handle that. All right, we're gonna give this one more try. I think we're good. I think we're at a situation now where SpeechCon should actually respond. Like I was expecting to build some cool functionality, and I haven't even gotten to that yet. But once this is working, it'll work all the time. So we're investing our time right now. Okay, back here. Quit. Open.
Welcome.
Say.
You can say. Awesome. What would you like to do next?
I didn't hear that, but I think it worked.
Awesome. What would you like to do next?
Okay. So the other thing that I want to do is probably put a break in between that. So the last thing that I will do here is speak output is that, and then we're going to do plus break time equals 0.5, like that. And that gives me another half-second break after she says awesome. But it didn't sound like awesome, did it? Did it sound like how she would say awesome? Is awesome even a speech con? Does anyone know? If I go in here and I look at speech con, awesome is a speech con. Okay, what did I pass back? It didn't seem like she said awesome. So I just want to see if response builder say as interpret as an interjection, awesome say as. Maybe I just didn't hear it right. Let's try like wahoo or something. Say wahoo.
Wahoo, what would you like to do next?
Yeah, she's not saying that the proper way. What are we doing wrong here? Oh, because I think it needs the punctuation. Maybe it needs the punctuation. I shouldn't put that there. I should not put that there. Let's do it in my helper function. We'll just drop this right here. I think it might actually need that. Let's see. It's kind of a boring response. Wahoo. That should be her default way she says that. Wahoo!
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So much frustration. should put it here. Break time equals 0.5s. And then we can get rid of it in the other place, because that's something I'm going to do every time. So it was about my break time. It wasn't about my speech count or my exclamation point. So much learning, so many mistakes to be made, and I get to make all of them. You guys are so lucky that I'm willing to make all these errors just to help you understand how it works. Man. Hopefully the rest of this will be a little smoother as we get into this. Say wahoo.
I pronounced that wahoo, but I'm always working on how I say things and I might not have it right.
Open Chewbacca.
Welcome. You can say
Wahoo!
There we go. Awesome.
What would you like to do next?
So she said wahoo. I got a little break, and then she says, what do you want to do next? Perfect. And that what do you want to do next is coming right out of our database of speech. And what would you like to do next? That's the value that came from there. So we have all of that rigging set up and ready to go now. That's wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to give them a random one instead. We should probably test that. And we need to try and say, hey, there wasn't a speech con that matched what you said. We have that done. Oh, I love getting rid of all these comments. Okay. So let's go try something else. Like what if I say something like, say taco?
Jeff, you broke something.
What did I break? Speech is not defined. Do I not have all the logic that I need there? If resolved words doesn't equal undefined, get random speech con. Speech, ugh. Well, the good news is we find all the bugs. The difference, Kevin, was the exclamation point. I forgot that speech cons generally need some sort of punctuation with them, and we should actually verify that, because I don't remember the specific rule. If I do SSML speech con reference, it'll show me here at the top. Yeah, you see how it has the abracadabra with the exclamation point? You can use punctuation. Be sure to surround each speech con with a pause. Okay, well if you want us to do that, it should probably be in the sample. But I think that's all you need to do. I think it's just having that exclamation point there. I think that's it. Because I took the exclamation, when I didn't have the exclamation point, it didn't work, and when I did, it did. But that seems like they've changed that logic, because that didn't used to be true. Yeah, so abracadabra's here, and then they have the exclamation point on the end, right here. And so that is the thing that apparently makes it happen. And they're recommending that I wrap it with a break. I think that I'm okay with the way that I've done it. So it should work now. So now if I say taco.
I heard you say taco, but that isn't a speech con for your locale. Here's a random one instead. Excellent.
Here, say that again.
What would you like to do next?
Say taco.
I heard you say taco, but that isn't a speech con for your locale. Here's a random one instead.
Arr.
What would you like to do next?
This is fun. I could just listen to random speech cons.
I heard you say taco, but that isn't a speech con for your locale. Here's a random one instead.
Yowzer.
What would you like to do next?
Okay, so our speech con stuff is working, and if I say yowzer, I gotta say, like, say yowzer.
Yowzer.
What would you like to do next?
All right, Karthik, take care, man. Have a good night. Maybe we'll come join you on your stream when I'm done here. All right, so our SpeechCon stuff is working. We've built a lot of rigging, which is really good news, because now we won't have to build a lot of that stuff later. I hate working with headphones on. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do is to modify the voice. And I want the user to be able to indicate the voice that they want to use. So the first thing that I need to do is create a new intent that is like a change voice intent. So how do we want to do this? Do I have a simpler intent? No, these are all pretty complex. I'm going to need one with a slot. So we'll use the answer intent as our template. Like so. And then we're going to have this be change voice intent. And this will be voice and voice. Hopefully we can do this one pretty quickly here. And then I think really we can do things like change the voice to, but I also want to have this one where it's just the voice. So if you just say like Brian, make the voice. So again, with our research and experience, we will continue to add to these, but change the voice. This will allow me to change it randomly, so if they don't give me anything, then I can say, oh, well, I'll just change the voice to something random, and I'll pull from a list. Okay, so we have that stuff set up. The other thing we need is the slot. I wish I had a simpler slot structure. They're so big. Okay, so this one is answer. We'll take this one down to here. And then this one will become voice. And I feel like there's... good morning, LJ. Thanks for being here, man. It looks like there's some things that we're going to need to tweak out. So let me... I don't know exactly how to best handle this. I don't know what the right answer is. Do I really... I guess I have to create a custom slot of all the voices. I just don't want to. So it'll look like this. And let's go find the list of voices, because I think I'm also going to need Alexa speech poly voices. And that none of those are what I want. I guess I just go to poly, huh? Blankenfam, I like it, man. Yeah, that's a cool icon. Bits leader, those are basically like each bit is worth a penny, and so Kevin Evans has donated a few cents, maybe even a couple dollars, to the channel, which we will be donating all of. So those bits, I think, are going to be one of the ways that we limit the use of sound effects. And LG, I should let you know that there are sound effects now. If you take a look at this file, you can see the commands. But if you want to play a sound effect, feel free. Just let's not abuse the privilege. But that's the source code for the bot. But if you scroll down, you will see that there's all these commands now, like carpet and following and plan and whatever. And so if you do exclamation point tomorrow, it'll play a sound effect that relates to the word tomorrow. And it plays it right through the channel right as you do it. So it's kind of cool. Okay. What was I doing? Goodness. Oh yeah, I was getting a list of voices from Polly. So let's dig in. Polly. And I'm not sure how I'm going to manage this yet. Maybe we just do the US voices for right now, and I can add more as we go. Is that the right answer? How do I want to do this? That's probably what I should do. But I will need a way to look them up, so I should probably add some data here too. So this is my speech data. We'll do create empty table. We'll call this voice. Now we'll call it Polly voice. And this will be record ID. What this allows me to do is introduce new voices too as we go. Formula. Oh, look at you, Trade Last. That's pretty cool. Maybe I'll just borrow that because I don't really need this in like a database. Strongly agree. We can. Is it okay if I steal that from you? I know it's not like a major amount of code, but we'll do that. Now, how do you handle things like different languages? Because with a lot of the Polly voices, you need to say, like, if I want the French ones, right? If I say Celine, if I want to use this, I generally need to wrap it. I thought I needed to do like a wrap for the language that I'm providing too. Doesn't seem like it wants that now, but those are just the English language ones. Perfect. Okay. Well, then I will do that. So let's come in here to our Lambda function and create a new file called voices.js, and we'll just drop this right in here. And so we're just passing out that list as an array. That's beautiful. So I'll need to include that. I guess I can just get it. Well, I'm glad to hear it, man. Hopefully it hasn't been too confusing. Sometimes I get into this stuff and I just start questioning whether I'm any good at this at all. Okay, and so the first thing we did is we built our intent. I will still need it here because I need the slot values, but that's a way for me to look it up later. So now we can just get rid of... I'll just use the names as the IDs. So you have them there for me. That makes it easy. Ivy. Ivy. And then we'll do the next one, which is Joanna. Now, one of the things that I'll need in this list is the name Alexa, because if they want to change it back, I'll need a way for them to indicate that. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. So, Joanna. Joey. Let's just do this a bunch. Okay, the next one is Justin. And then Kendra. Kimberly. Matthew. Sally. Nicole. Russell. Well, these are all the English ones, but the Nicole and Russell are the Australian ones. And for some reason, I feel like there's some language tagging that needs to happen, but we'll go with it for now. Amy. Brian, Emma, Aditi, Ravina. Yeah, no, I will definitely just randomly grab one. I think that's perfect. Aditi and Ravina. Amy, Brian, Emma. I forgot Emma. Emma and Ravina. Okay, then we need to fix these. This is one of those things, like, we should add this to a library someplace so that nobody else has to do this. Matthew, Kimberly, Kendra, and Justin. Okay, so I have my slot values. I think I forgot some commas in there maybe. Yeah, like that one. Otherwise it looks pretty good. Comma. So now I have my slot for voice. Good to know that no language tagging is necessary. That's great to know. I have my new slot and I have my new intent, which is way up here. I really need to clean this data up. And it was called change voice intent. So in our code, we're going to take my help intent handler, which is the base that I use for everything, and put this here, and then this will become change voice intent handler. This will become change voice intent, and this will become change voice intent handler, and that's where we will start doing our work. I need to add this to my manifest so that it works. It can be anywhere. And then the other thing that we'll want to do is one of these. Whoop. I called it voices. Okay. Well, I gotta actually give it a real name. Voices. Okay, so we have that included. We've got our file. So now down here, change voice intent handler, I should be able to say var spoken words equals get spoken words handler input var resolved words equals get resolved words handler input. That gets me what they said and what resolved potentially, and then I can say if resolved words doesn't equal undefined, then do this thing. Else, and this is almost identical to what we just did with the SpeechCon one, honestly. But what we're going to do here is say if resolved words doesn't equal undefined, then they picked a specific voice, and this is going to make it tougher for us because I need to know what the user's preference is, and I need to persist that. I don't know if we're going to have time to finish this today. We'll try. So in my data table, spoken words and resolved words are, that's a master class in making my life easier. So I have a user table, and in here I'm going to want another column that is polyvoice. And I'm not joining that data together. I don't know that it's necessary for something simple like this. These are just settings that the user has chosen. Normally I would like to like join these data points together and be able to see that, but I don't think I need it for this because I have that in another table. And maybe it shouldn't be over there, but I don't know, we'll live with it for now. Well, actually, I don't even really have the polyvoice table. I never created that. So this is where I'm going to put what polyvoice I want the user to have, or what they want to have. And we need to now create a record for my user if I don't already have one. their poly voice by default will be empty. So now we got to go back and do some more. We got to do some more work here. So this is going to be change the user's poly voice to their choice. Oh, W. Giorgio, I don't take any credit for the HTTP GET. That is that's the default sample that comes from the HTTP node modules. I've cleaned it up a little bit, and then I added some things for my options for Airtable and stuff like that, but the default code is not mine. I can't take credit for that. Change the user's poly voice to a random voice. Let them know to change it back to Alexa. They will need to say something we haven't decided yet. Okay. So I have those comments in there. At least I know what I want to do. But now I need to go and we need to grab this file because I did this. This is from the scavenger hunt. And in here I have all of this stuff. So I'm just going to copy all of this. We're not going to use all of it, and hopefully it'll be pretty simple. But down here in my... Oh, I actually commented that out. Perfect. Okay, so the first thing that I'll need to do is get their session attributes. That's great. And then I'm going to get user record. So this is a function that I will have to get from over here. So let's go find get user record, because this is pretty simple and straightforward for the most part. So let's just take this whole function, and then we're going to chunk a bunch out of it, because we don't need nearly all of the stuff that's here. We'll make it nice and simple. So I need a function now called async function get user record handler input. Okay, nope, see, I did it again. Okay, and so I guess I could have just I didn't think I took the entire signature. Okay, so now I have this function get user record, and this is where I'm getting the user ID out of the handler input. I already know that user ID. Thanks, TradeLast. Yeah, there's a lot of little, I guess there are a lot of little best practices that I've created, or the way that I log those things. You're making me feel better about myself today. Thank you. So come down here to that code that I was just working on. I don't need any of this. And then I have a filter that I'm going to use to get their user ID. And then I'm going to get from the data table, filter on the user table. That's all great. If there isn't a user record, create one. And this is where I will call out and get that user record. Otherwise, I will return the found user record that I have. And I'm not doing any of the session variable stuff here. So why am I making that call? We can probably simplify this quite a bit. So if we don't have a record in the database, then we're going to create one. And if we do, then we're going to use the one that we found. That works pretty well. I can only imagine the things that I'm going to break as I try this. But this should... Oh, because the thing that I needed to do here was then save my user into my session attributes. And then I don't need this stuff. This is for something else. So that all goes away. Boy, let's see if that just works. How magical would it be if I was able to just copy and paste that stuff in and it just does what I need it to do? So just to explain quickly, I grab their user ID from the handler input, the request envelope. I create a filter statement, basically just a query statement against my database, and I call and check and see if they exist. If they don't exist, then I create a record. And if they do exist, then I just use the record that I just retrieved in the first place. We also made changes to our model, so it's updating that right now also. Come on. Now it's building my skill code. That's good. Hopefully it deploys. And we're almost there. Okay, and we are deployed. So we should be able to come in here now. I'm going to refresh this page just so I get rid of all the crud, and we'll test our stuff too, just to make sure nothing breaks. So I should be able to say open Chewbacca cup.
Welcome. You can say hello or help. Which would you like to try?
And you can see that I have a record ID here in my session attributes already. So that's a really good sign. That means that if I look at my table, there I am. That's marvelous. So I have stored my user ID. I can get rid of these three. And now I can let the user save their polyvoice, right? That seems pretty easy and manageable. I should probably open the skill one more time just to make sure that it recognizes me the second time and doesn't create it again. So let's say quit. And say that again.
Welcome. You can say hello or help.
Just the one record.
Which
cool. So
like
it's working as we had hoped. I can create a new user, but then every other time I'll continue to use the same record ID for them. Now I want to be able to set this polyvoice stuff, and that's our next step. Maybe we will get this. We got 17 minutes. We can do this. Launch, change voice. So in here is where we want to update their record, and that is where we're going to go. Let's see if I can find a sample of something I've written for update. Update user record is really what I want, so let's go there. And that's way more than I really need, but we'll do it. So in here, I'm going to take down here at the bottom, I get user record, and now I'm going to have update user record. And there's a bunch of stuff I don't think I need in here. I'm going to do update user polyvoice. We're going to make this very specific. And so these things don't have to be questioned. I would never call this unless I was actually trying to update the polyvoice. So this stuff can go away. This thing can go away. And then this is my update using Airtable based data. Airtable user, ID is that, and I want well, maybe we'll back it up. Well, no, let's look at the syntax for this. If I look at speech, I want the data table, and I want the user table, user, and I want to update a record, and I want JavaScript for that, and I want a single record. It looks like this. So we're going to take this piece, and I think this will replace what we have right here. The update is for the record ID, which what would that have been a second ago? Session attributes.user.record ID. And then the user ID, I don't care to update that. That's not going to change. What I do care to change is polyvoice. And the polyvoice is going to be changed to whatever I passed in, which was called polyvoice. Okay. And then updated record, session attributes does the thing, so everything is updated. Let's push that just to make sure that that piece works, so that our table is actually getting updated, and then we will build the relatively simple logic to make sure that the voice is always the right voice. With our 14 minutes left, I'm feeling good about this. I think we can do this. So we need to check my table here. We should see polyvoice change when we do our test. So if I say change voice to Brian.
Jeff,
you broke something. What did I break? Get spoken words is not... Jeff, honestly, you're going to have to learn eventually. This is just old habits. Just me doing things that are old habits. That all looks fine. This debugging is what's going to kill me. I'm not going to make it because of the debugging. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Push code. It's good, right? Deployed? Boom. Okay. So back here, change voice to Brian.
You can say hello
Did it work?
to me.
Did it work? Did it work? Did it work?
How can I help?
Well, it didn't break, but it didn't work either. What's my model look like? Change the voice. Change the voice to Brian. What was I saying? Change voice to Brian. So what if we say change the voice?
You can say hello to me. How can I help?
Oh, we're so close. Okay. So index.js, we need to go to... Oh, I'm not calling the function. Jeff, okay. Update user poly voice, where I have handler input. I don't even know if I need handler input. Yeah, I probably do poly voice. Great. That's going to need a wait probably. Do I do anything? Yeah, I need to wait on that. Okay. If you write a whole function but you never call it, does it get called? I think the answer is no. So hopefully this will be super fast. And then I really wanted to talk in the other voice. That's where I was thinking I would get. Change the voice to Brian.
You can say hello to me. How can I help?
Still didn't do it. If resolve... Exactly, Kevin. Console.log poly voice. No, it's spoken words. There it is. There's my issue. Okay. One more time. What is that? Daft Punk? I think that's Daft Punk that I was just singing. Let's see if we can get this stool moved up a little bit, maybe. There we go. Change the voice to Brian.
You can say hello to me.
Have my data be there.
How can I help?
Oh, come on. What is going on? 51? Yeah, that's probably it. I don't see change voice intent handler. I don't see. If I go to my change voice intent handler, which is here, if resolve words doesn't equal undefined. Oh, is it because? No, I think I had made. Yeah, that's where we're at. So I don't know that I need to refresh necessarily. I mean, we can do that, but let's quit the skill. My code is updated. Open Chewbacca cup.
Welcome. You can say
Change your voice to
hello or
Brian.
help. You can say hello to me.
It's not doing it.
How can I help?
It's not doing it. And it's making me angry now. We're going to have to trace this through and see what the issue is. It's somehow not getting my slot value. Oh my gosh. Is that really the issue? Is that what I just did? It is what I just did. Ugh. Why doesn't that throw an error? So I have my wonderful functions, right? Get speech, get spoken words, get resolve words. And I had forgot to indicate to it which slot I wanted it to look for. And apparently my function doesn't fail if you don't provide a slot. So it didn't throw an error, and it was just not getting the values. This will probably work now, right? Come on. So if I say change the voice to Brian.
Jeff, you broke something.
Polyvoice is not defined on line 63. Because it shouldn't be polyvoice. It should be resolved words 0 dot value dot aim. Because I'm dumb. We're almost there. I can feel it. I can feel that we're almost there. Okay. So we come back here. We should just be able to say change the voice.
Jeff, you broke something.
Still no update. Still not working. I guessed on that syntax. I could be wrong. I'm always wrong. I could be wrong. Phone number is not defined. Where am I even referencing phone number? Index 210? Are you kidding me? I thought I got rid of all that. I did get rid of it, and then I brought it back. Goodness. Well, that's just a dumb one. I definitely deleted that code. But I think I brought it back because I was thinking about how to fill in those fields. But all right, well, we're going to keep working on this. We're apparently not going to end right at noon because I have more to do. But this last step, the actual making the voice speak, should be pretty easy. Okay, one more try. One more try.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So, open Chewbacca cup.
Welcome. You can say hello or help.
Change the voice to Brian.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Wow, man, when I break things, I get it done. 56. Speechlet response was null. You're saying that I don't respond? Am I somehow not responding in this change voice? I'm getting angry. This is where I make the call. Did the database get updated? It did. Okay, so that's a good sign. So we got past the update there. Do I need a return? I don't understand what's wrong here. Why this isn't thinking that I'm responding. Because we have this here. And then I have speak output that's just hard-coded here. Var voice equals. I don't know why any of that would matter. But let's try that. See what we get. So I'm making that call to update user polyvoice, and I guess I wasn't returning a value, but I didn't think I needed to.
Sorry, what device?
Open.
Welcome. You can say hello. You just triggered answer intent. Sorry, what device? Welcome. You can say hello or help. There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So strange. So for some reason it thinks when I get to the change voice intent handler, I do this, I do those, what do I do here? I mean, this is the code that I'm using. So if I go find yeah, I'm just calling this like an await. I'm not doing anything different. then we can say speak output equals I am now using the voice of whatever thing we just did. So I'm now using the voice of that. And all I want to do is say that. So this gets gone. You're right. No, you're right about that. I just wanted to see what the actual thing they spoke was. That's good. I can actually get rid of this now because that part is working. What's not working is, what if I just say speak output? I don't think this is the issue. That's not the name of a poly voice. Speak output then get, like, I don't understand why in the world we're not getting here. That's the thing that's not making any sense to me. Try it one more time. It's just not clear why it thinks I'm not sending anything back. Update user poly voice doesn't have anything that's sending stuff back, right? Don't think so. Quit. Okay. Open Chewbacca Cup.
Welcome.
Change
You can say hello or help.
Voice to
Which
Amy.
would you like to try? There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So you're getting change voice intent. You're getting Amy here. I'm matching Amy here. But somehow whatever I'm sending back to you, which appears to be nothing, isn't satisfying the contract that we have. Yeah. Somehow we're logging. That's this. So what if I do this? What if I do resolve record I could probably do like session attributes dot user dot poly voice equals poly voice, just so I have it in my session attributes. No, this is on the way out, right? So I don't even need that. Let's see if we can, if resolving it gets us what we want. Getting frustrated. I don't know what else I could possibly be doing wrong here. I've never run into this where I call out to an async function and it just somehow ends. Like, I don't have return values in any of this stuff that I'm doing here. Update user record. I'm just telling it to update. And if I go to that, doing exactly what I was doing there. No, I am resolving. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe I just need to resolve. Okay. Open Chewbacca Cup. the
Welcome.
update is working
You
there,
can
though.
say
That's
hello or help.
good.
Which would you like to try?
Change the voice to Brian.
I'm now
using the voice of Brian. Okay, so it was just that I wasn't resolving that value for some reason. Very weird. Now, it's obviously not actually using the voice of Brian, but we're going to go do that now. So, in here, every place that I call speak, I'm going to modify that to change it. And so, this is where my helper function, that it's going to be function change voice. And this will be the name of the voice. And we need to remember how we wrap this. No, it's not there. Using a poly voice SSML Alexa. I just need to remember the syntax. Voice. Show me. Where's the example? Voice name. Yeah, TradeLast, I'm the same way. I use resolve all the time for things that I actually care to resolve, but I didn't care to resolve that. So this is return this. Voice, and we also need the speech. So the speech will go here. Like so. Okay. That looks really good. Change voice. I need to export this here. And then up here, every place that we do this, I can just do helper.change voice speak output. And that just becomes the new way that I call this. Except that's not going to work very well when I need action queries. Helper.change voice. I'll just take this. This will just be the piece that I copy. Change voice here and here. That one doesn't get one. And error handler. Okay, that should be it. That should be all we need to do. So let's try this one more time. I'm going to slap my headphones on so I can actually hear it. And let's see what we get. Oh, you're right. I'll have to do it for the reprompts also. You're totally right. Thank you, TradeLast. I'll go back and do that after I finish up here. So, code is pushed. Let's just quit and start it over. But the voice should be there immediately. No, it won't be there immediately. What am I talking about?
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Who am I kidding? I wanted two values. There's two values that I need. One is the thing that they're going to say. The other is the actual voice that I want to change it to. Because this isn't going to be aware of what voice I want. And I didn't even put it in there. Voice. I need... Henschkoff, thank you for the follow. Good to have you here. I got to think of another way to do this. I mean, we can do it this way, I guess. This isn't feeling terrible. Let me go get my reference to session attributes, this thing. So we'll have to do this every time, which is fine, because it gives us more power. So this needs to be session attributes. It just gets so long now. I'll make it at least the second value so it's not in the way. Session attributes. But then I have conditionals where what if they don't have a value? It'll be empty. All of this seems so easy a moment ago. I want this function to be aware. Let's back all this out just so we're... Okay, so what I really want is to be able to change this. I want to be able to do it here. But I want to be able to do this in an easier way. So helper dot change voice, speak output, and then I'll just pass the whole handler input. That's easier. And then over here, this becomes handler input, and then I can get the session variables from that, which is here. And so we'll have this. And then I can put all my logic in here too, so I can say if session attributes dot user dot poly voice doesn't equal undefined. That's where this will happen. Else return speech. And this will just return normal speech. So this becomes this. Okay, I feel better about this now. So I'm doing this helper.changeVoice, and I have to tack on handler input as a parameter. But that gets me more power. And more power is better, right? Handler input. That looks right. These are all eventually going to be like this. I can just take this whole line. Let's do the first one first. Let's go to launch request, fix the whole thing the right way. So this is going to be like this, which means this is going to be like this. This is going to be action query, which means I'm going to need to get an action query, which is this. My speak output is there. This is going to change eventually anyway. Okay, so I have this looking right for now, and once I have it as a base, then we can. I'll just take all of this. This will work nicely. That becomes this. I guess I can get rid of this one here. this one down here. Most of these are so simple so far that it's pretty easy to change. This one doesn't need a reprompt, which means it also doesn't need an action query. Session ended, doesn't get anything. This is this one. Yeah, we'll do it. Error handler. Yeah, we'll do it here. And that's it. And so these will actually become action query. And then the moment of truth. Okay, let's see if it works. So the first thing that I want to do is change my data to be gone, because I would like Alexa's voice first. Then we'll change it, and then we'll have to worry about how we get it back to Alexa at some point. Almost there. Okay. Quit. Open.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
I thought I got them all. Apparently I did not get them all. Async await will be the end of me eventually, for sure. Okay, one more push. I think we're good though. Okay. Back one more time. Am I running? I'm not. Dev, if you're wondering about these buttons here, these are actually a plugin from Jovotech. So if you go to Jovotech, is that what you're wondering about? Those buttons? They have that here. If you go to the Jovotech website, a lot of people have questions about that. That's good. Chrome extension right here on jovo.tech. And it's just a simple Chrome extension you can install. I'll drop a link for you. But yeah, it's a simple script that just runs on that page for you. Makes life a little bit easier. Okay. Quit. Open.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Honestly, I'm gonna burn everything to the ground. I just want to go eat some lunch. Locale is not defined on index 15. Because I need locale for every one of these. Why wouldn't I? Locale and locale. And locale. Don't need it there. Okay. Because the way that I build my getRandomStrings function, which I use for the action query, requires me to pass a locale, I need to have locale defined, which I did not do. We're going to hear this voice, so help me. We're going to get there. All I want to do is eat some lunch. Quit. Open.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
What now? I don't think this is the right set. Speech is not defined in Helper 76. Oh, because this needs to be speech. Voice and speech, and is that right? No. Speech and handler input. And then where do I get speech from? Or where do I get the voice from? Oh yeah, okay, cool. A little bit more. This feels like we're on our way to another error, right? 2319.
2319! We have a 2319!
Let's see. Quit. Open. Chewbacca Cup. Please run.
Welcome. You can say hello or help.
Cool.
Which would you like to try?
Change the
What would you like
voice
to do next?
to Brian.
I am now using the voice of Brian. What would you like to do next?
Change the voice to Brian.
I am now using the voice of Brian. What would you like to do next?
Okay, so I figured out, we got our voice, by the way, so celebration for that. But the issue that I'm running into now is it doesn't save it the first time. And this is because what I do is I come in here and I say, change the voice, update user poly voice. And then I don't do anything with it. So this should be, I'm returning the whole record. So I should say var record user record equals that thing. Why don't you like that? Come on, figure it out. There we go. Then I can say session attributes dot user equals user record dot fields. I don't really want to do this here. Could I do it in the poly voice? I guess it doesn't really matter. So I hadn't assigned it to the session variables, and then when I was going to check those session attributes, it was finding the voice that I had the previous step. I think this will work. So let's come back here, get rid of Brian, get my code deployed. You guys have been very gentle on the sound effects today. I don't know if I appreciate that or not. Do you guys like that idea? The idea of being able to command sound effects on the fly? I think that's going to be a cool feature of this. I don't think you need to call the set. I think that pretty much happens automatically. So let's quit. There we go. And then change the voice. Let me open it first. Open Chewbacca Cup.
Welcome. You can
There's
say
Alexa's
hello
voice.
or help. Which
Now I'm
would you
gonna
like
say,
to try?
change the voice
What
to
would you
Brian.
like to do next? Jeff, you broke something. What would you like to do next?
What did I break now? All I want to do is eat some food. Because session attributes isn't defined there. There's the elephant. Where is my reference to session attributes? So now in that place where I do that, see, this is why I don't want to do it here, because now I have to bring in session attributes when I don't really need them. I wonder if I could just do this. And this, because I don't even want to catch those values. I just want to do that. And if we go to update user poly voice, in here I already have session attributes, so I wonder if I could just do this. That would be better. Oh, that could be W Georgia. Maybe it is if you want to retrieve it right away, but I haven't run into that situation. Doesn't mean you're not right. It's probably likely that you're right, but let's see. Quit. Open the Chewbacca Cup.
Welcome. You can say hello, help. Which would you like to try? What would you like to do next?
So Brian's working automatically. That's good. So I want to now change the voice to Amy.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
It's about how I'm setting that session attribute somehow. We're at 28. Huh, because it's not called user record. Jeff, get with it. Record. I'm trying to move too fast. This is what happens when I'm hungry. Just trying to move too fast. But that one should work. I say should. I'm losing all my confidence in being able to say that will work. Should work. Giving myself the opportunity to fail once again. Good morning, Lily Hazel. Thank you for being here. Lily, we added sound effects to the chat, and there's a whole list of them. You can see you can do things like elephant. So if you do, oh, I can't do it there, but if I do it in the chat, you can do like angry cat was one we just did a second ago, or elephant. There's also things like 2319.
2319! We have a 2319!
So you feel free to play with those if you'd like. I think we're just about wrapping up here. Hopefully, if I can just get this voice to change on the fly. So open the Chewbacca Cup. We made up a name, Chewbacca Cup. That's not what this will actually be called.
You can say hello or help. Which would you like to try?
Change the voice to Amy.
Next.
I am now using the voice of Amy.
Yes.
What would you like to do next?
Change to Brian.
I am now using the voice of Brian. What would you like to do next?
Help.
You can say hello to me.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
How can I help? What would you like to do
Change
next?
to Russell.
I am now using the voice of Russell. What would you like to do next?
So great. Oh, it was just a simple error that I'd made here. I'm now doing it in my update polyvoice. I also update their session attributes right there, so that when I come back and we do the line here, so I make the call to user polyvoice, I do all the stuff, and I update my session variable, and then I can say I'm now using the voice of this thing. And when I call my change voice function, it always grabs from the session variables. So what was happening is that I was calling change voice, but I hadn't updated the session variables yet, so it was using whatever the previous voice was. So I was always one step behind. But now, because I'm updating it automatically, now it is able to change the voice as we go. So we're going to do this with a bunch of stuff. The user will be able to set things like speed, volume, a bunch of other stuff. So we'll get there. But for now, we have a working voice model. And what should be cool about this, let's test this also, is if I come in and I say quit, and now I just open the skill, it should still be on the old voice automatically.
Welcome. You can say hello
Yeah.
or help.
Cool.
Which would you like to try? What would you like to do next?
So we have lots more to do, obviously, in this skill, but I ran about a half an hour over today. It's just cutting into my meal time, but I'm going to go fill my face with something delicious right now, and then I'll be back again on Monday morning. And we are probably not going to work on this. I think we're going to make a full week of working on a chatbot next week. So we'll be adding more sound effects. We'll figure out ways to let you guys control and command them in a reasonable, responsible way. Lots of things like that to figure out. So I guess I can take these headphones off. But thank you guys all for tuning in today. We're going to... Actually, one more thing we should do before we wrap is to go here. No, let's go raid somebody. Let's end this with a raid. So if I go to Twitch, and we'll go see who's online and who we can send some fun to. Dashboard. Thank you guys all for being here. Kevin Evans, Gold Zulu, W Giorgio. You guys are all great. Thank you for participating and being patient with me. So who can we raid? Oh, is there no one on right now? Oh, that would stink. Oh, Karthik's on. We'll go visit Karthik. The robotics stream, I thought Jeff Nunn was still doing that. So is he not on today? He should be on later this afternoon, I think. But let's go see what Karthik's up to. Hey Justin, I'm still here, man. I'm trying to raid. I thought we just did a raid. Maybe we didn't. Karthik? Start raid. Well, thank you guys all for being here. Lots and lots of fun this morning. I've got to go eat, so I'm going to be signing off now. But thank you guys all, and we'll see you again on Monday.